with you. I'm going to invite you guys to head over to the Discord server where you can join the staging area for your calls, and we'll just open it up on a Friday. So head on over to the Discord. You can find that a couple of different ways, either in the show description here, you'll see the Discord link, or you can go to bishoponair.com and join the Discord that way. That's what we're going to do today. Just a little free-for-all Friday, as they like to call it in the talk radio space, but also means that the host doesn't really have much going on. There's plenty we could talk about, but I'd love to hear from you. So go to the Discord and join. And if you want to raise your hand, let me know you want to talk, or however that function works, you can do so. But in the staging area, already several people hanging out, so we'll get to that with your calls, all right? So join the Discord channel, and let's make it happen. Like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and also don't forget, go and get the Center Square's Illinois in Focus. Real simple. All you got to do is go to thecentersquare.com, and from there you'll be able to see all the headlines, take a reader's poll, sign up for the newsletter, and get Illinois in Focus. It's a weekly podcast we put together to give you a rundown of everything you need to know. You can find it on Spotify. Just search Illinois in Focus. Later on this morning, we'll have that latest episode out there for you. All right. So what's on your mind, guys? Let's hear about it. You can join the Discord and sound off. And let's see here. Kickin' Wing's in there right now. I'm going to invite Kickin' Wing to speak. So go ahead and chime in if you want. Just got to accept that invite, and we'll have you blast through the Discord. Kickin' Wing, I believe that you are on, so good morning. You might have to unmute yourself. I think you're good. No, don't hear you yet. Got to make sure you unmute yourself there. All right, well, we'll wait for Kickin' Wing to get on. But if you got questions about the budget, if you got questions about the gun cases, if you've got questions about Illinois' legislative process, where we're at right now, I know that, for instance, we've got hundreds of bills that are lined up for Governor J.B. Pritzker's desk. And if you follow along with the legislature, this is the website you can go to, ilga.gov. One thing I like to do, especially after they're done with session, is go to legislative reports. And there you can see House bills that passed both chambers, Senate bills that passed both chambers, bills pending governor action. Those are bills that have actually been sent to the governor's office. So let's click on that and see what we've got. And there are several bills that are waiting to be signed by the governor. 8 right now. Again, the legislature passed 465 some odd bills. So he's signed several of them, including the state budget. But we've got the other big budget part that he has yet to sign, and that is the revenue package, increasing taxes by $750 million for the next fiscal year that starts July 1st. So we'll see when that gets signed. But again, the budget doesn't start until July 1st. But some of the measures on the governor's desk, you can see the titles of these, but really the titles can change, right? For instance, Crohn's and colitis awareness. If you go to that bill, I believe that actually turned into an election omnibus bill. So that has been sent to the governor, and it was introduced as a commemorative dates act to commemorate Crohn's and colitis awareness week. But then you get into amendments, and the amendments replace everything, amends the state's Commemorative Dates Act, does some changes. Then you get to another one, creates the Uniform Faithful Presidential Electors Act. So you go from honoring Crohn's disease to creating the Uniform Faithful Presidential Electors Act. This was debated briefly, and it does a whole host of things, as you can see there. Even further amended, it removes provisions of the Unified Code of Corrections for Re-entering Citizens Civic Education Act, makes changes to the removes provisions in the Township Code about party caucuses, and another big election law that they're changing here. With a gut and replace. I believe I hear Kick and Wing in the background there. Kick and Wing, you should be live with us. Morning.
Hey, Greg, how's it going?
Good. Yourself? Glad you're able to get that turned on.
Yeah, no problem. I don't know why it took so long. Anyways, I'm kind of new to the whole thing, but yeah, I'm a long-time listener. Your show. Appreciate all your hard work and everything, man.
Well, thank you.
Not go unnoticed.
Right on. I appreciate that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So what's on your mind?
I had to move out to Colorado there for a little bit for work, and as you know, with the whole gun ban thing and the assault weapons ban, just touching on that and just gonna doubt the success, I guess, of Colorado, of I guess the people fighting back, and we're able to shoot, I guess that whole bill was in a sense shot down. But yeah, just wanted to tout their success and kind of hoping Illinois and the Supreme Court make their decisions, and hopefully everything goes through with them. But yeah.
Yeah, so how do you see it playing out? You've got the U.S. Supreme Court considering taking the case on a preliminary basis, but in the Southern District Court in Illinois, you've got the case on the merits, and we got a trial date set. I mean, that's big news this week. It's going to be September 16th, but that's months away still.
Yeah. Ultimately, I think in the end, I believe it's going to prevail for the people. I think everything's going to work out for us. It's a constitutional right, and I believe the Constitution is pretty straightforward when it comes to our Second Amendment rights. I know other people like to argue their points in the matter, but ultimately, I think it's going to work out for us. I'm pretty hopeful. I am.
What do you say to those, though, who are adamant we need, quote, common sense gun regulations?
That's common sense gun regulations. I mean, when it comes to what? I mean, it's.
Well, sure, yeah. I mean, some of the things that they're talking about in Illinois that didn't advance before the legislature went home for the summer, and again, I want to reiterate that, they're done until after the November election, and they did not advance any what gun control advocates would call common sense gun regulation. Things like safe storage requirements, requiring you to have your gun locked up in a case if it's not in use, requiring police to get a warrant to confiscate firearms from people who have orders of protection against them. You've got others who say that, hey, the ban on semi-automatic firearms and magazines over certain capacities is common sense. So, I mean, just to those particular ideas,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, what your thoughts? Does that help stem what they see as, violent crime?
Right. I mean, ultimately, I'm not a lawyer. So I mean, I guess when it comes to a lot of those things, how that would play out lawfully in a court, I'm not sure. I guess when it comes to, I guess their quote unquote common sense gun measures, I believe it's 100% ridiculous. Yeah, I think time and time again, it's the Constitution it's that Second Amendment right is there to protect the people against a tyrannical government. That's my personal belief, and if I believe the people have the right to stand up and voice their opinions, and But limiting the Second Amendment is not a second class right, and I believe that's what it's coming out to be. People people are trying to make that out to be a second class right, and it's not. Just like the freedom of speech, if we start limiting that, what's I believe it's ultimately going to become a slippery slope if we start uh, shutting down. Start, I guess, adding more these gun laws and whatnot. It's going to become a slippery slope, and eventually they're going to come after the First Amendment. And you know what I mean? That's my personal belief, anyways.
Well, I appreciate it, Kick and Wing. Thanks for chiming in here on this Friday. I'm going to move you back to the audience and see if we can get Tenebris on, inviting Tenebris to speak. And if you want to join the Discord, you can do so. The link is in the description of the live show. You can also find it at bishoponair.com. Tenebris, what's up?
Nothing, Greg. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good. Yourself?
Pretty good. So let's lighten this up a little bit. Much like the Heath Hernandez Loogie episode from Seinfeld, I want to know your thoughts on this issue. Did Joe Biden poop himself yesterday?
Okay, all right. I'm not gonna go there, except to just highlight the importance of D-Day celebrations. It's a pretty remarkable moment in history, and the fact that the greatest generation of World War II veterans are not going to be around much longer. Just highlights, again, the mass significance of that day when the world's leaders get together for that. Biden aside, it's important that D-Day is obviously recognized, but man, I tell you, just give me your assessment of where we're at right now with a handful of months before November. We've got a debate that's just around the corner between the presumptive nominees, Trump and Biden. How do you feel that's going to play out?
I don't think Biden's going to make it to November, especially with all this attention on him recently. He's made some real bad verbal gaffes, and then this thing yesterday with Macron and not saying anything to the veterans, walking off the stage. I think it's getting more attention, his acuity, his mental acuity. I think he's either going to come up and he's going to say, well, I've decided because of my health, I'm not going to be able to run again. My question to you then is, who does step up? Is it JB? Is it Gavin Newsom? The other day I heard somebody talking about Hillary coming back into the picture. And why
wouldn't it be Kamala Harris?
Because everybody hates her, and the Democrats will never let her go. I think they know she would never win an election against anybody, and they've got more popular choices out there. I've said all along I thought JB was going to declare at the DNC.
Well, we've still got several months here before the DNC in Chicago, and then you've got the RNC before that. You've got Trump going to be sentenced a handful of days before that. Your predictions there?
Well, it's New York. They're probably going to find him guilty. He might even do some jail.
Well, they found him guilty already. The question is, is it going to be jail sentence? Is it going to be a slap on the wrist with probation? I mean, listen, he's a first-time offender getting a felony, 34 felonies, but it's a non-violent crime too. So
he's a justice-impacted individual, Greg.
Well, I mean, now that's just for those in the Adult Redeploy Illinois program. All right, I want to make sure that we're clear on that. But yeah, justice-impacted individual, the new term to replace offender in state law when it comes to people in the Adult Redeploy Illinois program for first-time offenders. But kind of interesting to see the dynamic there, especially now. I don't know if you've seen a lot of the bustle around, Trump saying he's going to bring retribution or something to that effect. And a lot of the mainstream corporate press raising red flags that Trump's going to go after his political opponents. Isn't that what we're seeing right now to some degree?
Yeah, exactly. He wouldn't be doing anything they haven't done. Obama started this when he weaponized the FBI and the IRS and started going into conservative organizations and bringing lawfare against them. So they're having to live with what they sow.
We're in for an interesting ride. There's no question. To Devers, greatly appreciate you. Thanks for tuning in and moving him to the audience. Bringing up Ninjaneer to see if he wants to sound off. I think I know who this is, but just to double check, they should be able to accept that invite and join. But the national political landscape has, I don't think, ever been any more fascinating than it is right now, especially with just the kind of split screen that we see of Trump out there doing speeches and long speeches, not just 10-minute blurbs and then walking off the stage. No, he's doing an hour and a half. When have we seen a Trump or rather a Biden rally of the sort? So things like that are always fascinating. Ninjaneer, if you don't want to chat, no sweat, but putting that invite back out to you if you want to chime in. Some of the comments on the live feed here. Let's see if we can go through and just see what people are saying. Dangerous Liberty says, we have laws against murder, theft, assault already. Prosecute those committing those crimes instead of making a new law to make new criminals. God bless those who gave their lives and those that risked their lives 80 years ago. Appreciate that comment, Paul. Others speculating Michelle Obama might actually throw her hat into the ring. That's an interesting prediction some people tend to make. So yeah, the national scene, obviously there's going to be a lot to say about that. But a lot of my focus is on Illinois and what's going on. But let's just take a look at some of the headlines at thecentersquare.com. In particular, if you go to the main page and you see some of the national headlines there. Here's a headline out of Arizona. After conviction, Trump draws crowd in Phoenix. So what do we got here? Former President Donald Trump's kicked off a Western U.S. campaign tour stopping in Phoenix Thursday. Now, keep in mind, up until last week, he couldn't go out on the road and campaign. He was stuck in the courtroom. I think the only times he had off were like Wednesdays and Saturdays and Sundays. So now that the criminal trial's over, he was convicted of 34 counts, awaiting sentencing. He's traveling and doing campaign speeches. So in Arizona, a rally held at the Dream Center Church. Heat outside was up there near 110 degrees. Holy cow. That's pretty warm. But like previous events held at the church, Thursday's events, which was held by the Trump-allied Turning Point Action, expected to draw 3,000 people. Trump name-dropped several of the candidates in Arizona he's endorsing. Also went on to talk about the 34 counts that he was convicted on tied to a hush money payment. He says, I just went through a rigged trial in New York with a highly conflicted judge. President Joe Biden defeated Trump in the 2020 election. Trump leaned heavy into immigration, and that's a pretty hot-button issue for, I wouldn't say just for Arizona voters. It's a hot-button issue for voters across the country, as you got stories out of even Illinois, 30-plus thousand migrants that are being shipped to the state of Illinois. Some other headlines from the Center Square in the national headlines. Feds send millions of tax dollars to the Taliban. So this is another interesting story. After 2 decades at war with the Taliban, the U.S. government's now sending millions of tax dollars to the terrorist group. The Taliban resumed power in Afghanistan immediately after the chaotic and deadly withdrawal of the U.S. troops earlier in the Biden administration. A new federal watchdog report shows the U.S. government has sent $11 million to the Taliban since 2021's withdrawal, but experts and even the federal watchdog estimate the number is much higher. So the U.S. government's continued the largest international donor supporting the Afghan people since the former Afghan government collapsed and the Taliban returned to power in August 2021. The federal watchdog SIGAR wrote in a report. Since then, the U.S. government's provided more than $2.8 billion in humanitarian and developmental assistance to help people in Afghanistan. But the organization said the $11 million figure is likely only a fraction of the taxpayer dollars actually going to the Taliban. Now, one thing you always hear about the criticism of foreign aid is when you give foreign aid to some of these countries with questionable leadership, that money really doesn't go to where it's needing to go. So interesting to see that story. Some of the other headlines from across the country: Attorney General sues to stop potential sale of rare Jewish books and manuscripts. That's in Ohio. Texas launches 10 most wanted criminal illegal immigrant list. That's interesting. In first post-verdict poll, Trump up 5 on Biden in North Carolina, but Biden is at 8% leading in North Carolina. So more on the national political scene. Campaign finance addition to bill irks Senate Democrats in North Carolina. Alleged human smuggler claims fall flat on Operation Lone Star officers, and some other headlines that you can find there as well. All right. Let's see. An engineer, we're going to try to bring you back up here to see if you are able to join. So accept that if you want. If you guys want to chime in on the Discord, you could do so. Just go to the link and click through, and you'll be able to join. I am going to wrap things up here, though, in a bit because, hey, it's Friday, and I want to get my work finished up and get on with the weekend so we can come back refreshed. Programming notes, a little bit later on this month, I'm going to take a Friday and an entire week off. So looking forward to just unplugging for a bit and not having to work anywhere. So that'll be nice, well, except for some home projects. So you know what? I think I'm just going to go ahead and wrap it up. I should expand my show. Another user, I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. How you think I should expand the show? What do you want? What are you guys looking for? Also, I'm going to get to some of the emails you guys have sent on suggestions to hit the road throughout Illinois. Maybe go check out some sites. Maybe go talk to some gun stores. Maybe talk with some gun ranges. Take the cameras and see what we can highlight throughout the state. So, all right, guys. Shout out to those in the chat room hanging out. I appreciate Stanky Skunk. I'm the only news Illinois gives. Appreciate that. Listen, I mean, there's a lot more to come. Let me just put it that way. There's a lot more to come. We'll have to, as these bills get dropped onto the governor's desk, as you see here, several bills, we're going to have to start unpacking all this stuff so you guys know how you're being impacted by the 465 bills on the governor's desk. All right, again, shout out to those in the chat room. Ron, appreciate that. He says, real news. Bob, have a good weekend. Appreciate you guys. Yes, real news. Otherwise, it's all local puff pieces. I think that's why it's important people know what's going on in state government, because it impacts everybody in the state. No, this is nothing to downgrade and denigrate local news, but it's a mix, right? You might hear about a school district you don't even live in, but hopefully with Bishop on air here, you're able to just get those quick little news bits, things that you guys are worried and concerned about. Bradley, Festus, Ricardo, Paul, Randall, Duckman, Ron, JL, Jerry. Who else we got in the chat room? Sounding off. Ozzy. Tenebris. We heard from Tenebris. Yosemite Sam. Till Valhalla. Tattooed Squirrel. Joe. All right. Keep it real, guys. Brian, Christopher. All right. Again, go to centersquare.com. Subscribe to Illinois in Focus. While you're there, get America in Focus. And check out the state page for Illinois, where I'm the associate editor, and you can get all of the various headlines, including, we didn't talk about this one, but a bill that backed by the unions would simply say that employers can't have certain types of meetings with their employees. Unions say that this would prohibit employer-sanctioned meetings that are anti-union propaganda. So that's a bill that could be sent to the governor soon. But we'll talk about all those things and more. We got a whole summer to unpack all of this stuff. But I got to get out of here. All right. Appreciate you hanging out for a Friday free-for-all. Whatever that is. So, we'll see you back here next week, guys. Be safe. Got to push the right buttons here. Get it where it needs to go. Let's do it.